Hey, ball with the ball. Hey, hope everybody's pumped up, ready to go. So we are kicking off our webinar live. Without further ado, I want to introduce my good friend, colleague, mentor, Jack Siney, who's been in the government game for 25 years, and he's going to share some knowledge with you today. So without further ado, Jack Siney, aka Beaker Man, come on in.
Yo. Hey, how's everybody doing? Happy Halloween. I got this Beaker outfit, and our staff was like, you'll never wear that on the GovCast or the webinar. I was like, yes, I would. So those of you who know me, I cannot miss this opportunity. So happy Halloween. Thank you for joining the webinar. Listen, our whole goal is to condense this webinar in 30 minutes or less, because there's nothing we're going to say is that entertaining unless you were listening to Tony Robbins or Gary Vee, and certainly Steve and I are not either one of them. So we're going to listen. We want to give you a bunch of stuff to make sure that you are great at laying out your 2021 government sales plan. So that's the sole goal of today. And so as you see, those are the 6 resources you need. Listen, if you love what you're about to hear today, we want to encourage you. Listen, every Wednesday, we used to be Tuesday and Thursday, but now we're going to be every Wednesday at noon. Right now, this same time slot. We're actually on LinkedIn Live. If you just go follow me down the bottom, Jack Siney, if you find my name, and we do a LinkedIn Live every week. And we talk about government sales. We bring on guests from all around the industry to help you sell, focus on government sales, how to get better in sales in general. And so I just want to encourage you again, if you like what you hear today, or if you were part of our previous webinar, join us for the GovCast. It's every Wednesday at noon. It's Steven and I, and Andrea is really the brains of that operation. She's actually out selling, right, Steve, at the end of the month. She actually works hard. Like Steve and I are just.
we just wear silly hats, and yeah, the GovCast is great. So it is going to one time a week. So make sure all those followers that join in Tuesday and Thursday to come Wednesday at 12 noon. And if people are wondering what's up with the hat, they're new to the Dean hat. It's because going for a little Willy Wonka theme.
Oh, hold on. I got it. Hold on. GovCast noon. If you just follow me down the bottom, you'll be a part of the GovCast. You'll get notified every Wednesday at noon if you like me here. So there it is, Willy Wonka. Do your thing.
Yeah, so this is, some people say I look like a pilgrim. I'm really going for Willy Wonka. He had that big, tall hat. So if you saw the ads, we are giving away, in the spirit of Halloween, a 5-pound chocolate Hershey bar. So I went and picked up these from the store, and I looked at it. It says 1.5 ounce. So just to put things in.
Those aren't.
That's what I was going to say, Jack. So I had to go on Google, and everybody in the chat right now, put where you're from. Let's get some participation here. All the panelists and attendees, why don't you go in there and put where you're from, and I'll explain our little raffle we're giving away here. So 5 pounds of chocolate. So this is one bar equals 53 regular size Hershey bars, because these are 1.5 ounces and the 5 pound is like 80 ounces. So that equals 53 of these bars. Oh, we're seeing everybody: Washington, D.C., Georgia, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Chicago, North Carolina.
How many of these 5-pound bars are you giving away?
We are going to give away 4 5-pound bars, and we're going to kick it off right now, Jack. Let's give away, what do you think? 1, 2, 3, how many you want to get?
But this is one of those things like you get and you like give it to somebody else. Like, this is like one of those gag gifts you just pass around a family, unless somebody actually eats 5 pounds of chocolate. But in the spirit of the holiday, it's all you. Willy Wonka, how many you want to pick?
Let's start with 1. All right, we're still getting the towns coming in. National Chocolate Day, so yum. So if you want to win a chocolate Hershey bar 5-pounder, type in the word candy, and we're going to pick from this list to give it away. All right, John White. I'm picking him first. I saw his name here. I'm going to write that down. Congratulations, John. You are the winner.
Sorry, John. You will be now, whatever chocolate does to your system, you are now messed up, right, for the next month. Sorry about that.
What do you think? Let's pick another one here. I see Anthony Bettinin, Bettinin. So we're giving away 2 bars, 1 to John White and 1 to Anthony Benetton. So
I killed 2 people.
Phil, you think we should give another one away, Jack? You want to do one more?
Give one more and then we'll go.
All right, let's do it. Another one is, let's see here, Griselda Sacramento.
Sorry to you 3 people. Sorry about the
are the third winner. Hopefully you have a big family, a lot of kids to share this with. But this is in the spirit of Halloween season. So
There you go.
congratulations.
What else are you giving away today, Steve? What else are you giving away?
I think we should give away something of big value. Jack, what do you say? At the end, maybe give away something government IT related to help people with their 2021 sales plan?
All right, good. So that'll be our little hook, right? All of you folks in sales, you know there's a hook to make you stay to the end. So we're going to give away one of the solutions we talked about today. We're actually going to give away one of those for free. And so if you stay to the end, and again, 30 minutes tops. Like, again, we're not that entertaining. And so just want to give you what you came for, help you get your 2021 sales plan for the government in order. And at the end, Stevie B in his Willy Wonka hat and maybe another chocolate bar will kill another person or two. Is that good? Anything else, Steve? We ready to go? We good? Any other giveaways?
Let's kick it, Jack.
Here we go. Cool. So listen, we did a webinar last month and the response was amazing. Similar to this, we've literally had hundreds and hundreds of people sign up. Our webinar last month, I think, had like 250 people. It's amazing on it. And so some of the folks were like, that's great, but it's too soon. I can't get my sales team modified. I can't get in this year. How do I get myself ready for 2021? So that led us to this webinar. And so it's like, hey, why, for those of you, why must you sell to the government? So there's three things we say all the time. Listen, the government spends a ton of money. Ton. We'll talk about that in a ton. The government is the largest prospect in the world, federal, state, and local, the largest prospect in the world. So if you've not sold to the government in years past, you're a knucklehead, no offense, right? But listen, especially now with COVID, they're the biggest prospect in the world. You have to go sell to the government. Second, listen, the government buys everything. So if you're unaware, the government buys everything. So whatever you sell, the government buys it. Promise you, the government buys everything that's made. They've made some products mainstream. The government buys everything that's out there, literally everything, right? Steve, there's some, like, I always say, from like condoms to vodka. What was the other one? Like ships to something else?
Somebody I think a little bit PG is paper clips to battleships.
There you
right?
go. Paper clips. That rhymes better. Paper clips to battleships. The government buys everything. And listen, the government always pays. So this third one is so important because if you followed us on our LinkedIn Live or our company, like one of the things we always say is some of you signed contracts over the last 4 or 5 months, and those companies are never going to pay you because of COVID and in the business environment and whatever happens with this election, you're never going to get paid. And listen, the government spends a ton of money. The government buys everything. And more importantly, they always pay because you don't get paid, as a salesperson, unless the company pays their bill. And so the government always pays, maybe sometimes a little delayed, but the government always pays. So those three are so important about why you must sell to the government. And then listen, from our last webinar, if you missed it, just some general basic items about the government sales opportunity, the government sales market. There's about 90,000 government agencies at the federal, state, and local levels. They traditionally spend about $7 trillion. But here's the thing. You've all seen the stimulus packages that are going on. It's sick, right? In this 2021 timeframe, that number could reach like $10 trillion. It is an amazing, amazing amount of money the government's going to spend. And even without the additional stimulus, the average is $20 billion a day. So just think about that, 20 billion, okay? $20 billion a day, every day. And if you go back to 7 trillion, I always say to people, if you write that out, it's 13 digits. So if you have a piece of paper in front of you, write a 7, then 12 zeros, $7 trillion. It's a sick, sick, sick amount of money, all right? Now listen, the next bullet you see on there, 80% of that spending doesn't go through a bid and RFP. So folks are so hesitant to get in the government markets. They're like, I don't want to go through a bid and RFP process. I don't want to write a term paper. I hate the process. It's 6 to 9 months. It sucks. The government, all these things. And listen, a lot of that's not true. That's not true. 80% of government spending does not go through a bid and RFP process. And then that last bullet, I'm sure some of you, if you read ahead, you're like, that's a total lie. You guys are a bunch of sales scammers. Listen, even with my beaker outfit on, it's true. We help aggregate and coordinate the government spending. And I'm just going to tell you this. We said for many years, you can win a government deal in weeks, or you can win a government deal in a couple of days. We've said that for a really long time. And then when COVID came along in March, we have seen in the last 6 months, government deals are awarded in hours. Seriously, like hours. We have, if you go to govquote.us, you'll see it's an online marketplace of quotes. Government agencies will put out a quote in the morning and award it later that day. Happens every single day.
I want to jump in because that actually happened yesterday. I had somebody call me. So the University of Wisconsin posted an opportunity at 10 o'clock. It was to buy 1 million boxes of, or 1 million pairs of nitrile gloves. They needed that for all their universities. So there's like 13 campuses across the University of Wisconsin, and it closed at 4 p.m. that day. And everyone's like, why is it short notice? it wasn't even us, but the agency's like, we need the gloves now. So get in here fast and furious. And like within the first hour, they had like 10 responses. So really, it's just to encourage, because why play the games? They know what they need to buy. They just want to get it. So if it falls under that discretionary threshold or 3 quotes, that's a platform to do it. So yeah, GovQuote's a great service for that.
Listen, it happens all the time. And that's that one bullet. We get so much blowback from folks who've been in the government market for years. They call us, they ping us. I get LinkedIn messages. What are you doing? Why are you lying to people? I want to be like, why are you lying to people? So listen, definitely happens. So now you're like, hey, how do I win a portion of this? What's my next step? So this is what it normally looks like, right? For those of you who've never sold to the government, it's like, well, this drawing on the left, I was low online. I'm like, this famous artist, right? He has all these kind of like mind bender optical illusion pictures. This is what, if you start selling to the government, it has this feel to it, right? You're like, where do I start? I'm going up the steps. How do I get out? What are the other people doing? How do I be successful? So that's what led us to this webinar, because when folks think about it, I think a lot of folks see all the spending, they see the stimulus, like, I just don't have any idea where to start. So that's the basis of this entire webinar, right? So we're going to give you these 6 resources to help you start to create your plan. So if you start from the upper right, we're going to go through a set of infographics. We're going to show you a bunch of websites, how to help you sell. We're going to talk about technology solutions, like what are those solutions out there that'll make you more efficient in selling to the government. We're going to show you the organizations and associations in the government marketplace, the trade shows, which you probably already have now that we sent that out to you, and then some vendors that will help you actually win government business. So those are the 6 things we're going to walk through really quickly. You're going to get all these as deliverables. All right. So let's walk through them really, really quick. So number 1, listen, is a GovSales infographic. So there's a whole series of infographics we're going to give you as part of this webinar. So those, you see the list right there. We're going to tell you the amount of government spending, the 10 ways they buy. So let me just bring these up. I want to show you really quick. You're going to get this set of graphics. So here, this is actually the live document. Hey, how big is the market? We mentioned $7 trillion. The 10 ways the government buys outside the bid and RFP process. How many government agencies are there? The difference between federal and state and local agencies. All the top 12 types of government agencies. The budget cycles. The number of companies that are already selling to the government, who you're competing with, the 4 major types of contracts, and then the benefits of selling to the government. So that infographic, you're going to get, download it, you can have it, you can print it out, put it on your desk, frame it, whatever. Folks have it all around the office, but those are kind of the core foundational data points about how to sell to the government and help you think about what does it look like, who are you competing with, what type of contracts, that whole scenario. Good? So that's number 1.
Yeah, one thing, jump in, Jack, is that the favorite one I like is the fiscal year, because October was the federal fiscal year. So they just got an influx of cash, new budget. So they are buying now.
The federal fiscal year. Totally. The federal fiscal year just started October 1st, right? So they just got their money. Great time to start networking with the federal agencies.
True.
Amen. Amen, Willie. Hey, and then the next one, look, number 2, are a whole set of GovSales websites. So there are a ton, unlike selling to private industry, the government has actually probably too much information out there. There are a ton of data, websites and information and PDFs and podcasts and all these things. So we've aggregated a bunch of the government websites. So, hey, so you can figure out what's an agency's strategy for 2021. All right. What is it? What are they going to do in relation to COVID? So I want to show you that as well. So here is actually the document you'll get. So these are the government websites. You can actually figure out what agencies are doing, how are they working out, what's their strategy. We give you each of the state link to the state procurement website. So this document as well, you will receive as part of this webinar. Okay. And so again, it's the government actually almost has too much information. So we try to synthesize that for you. So that group of websites, if you go through them, will actually help you know what are government agencies buying, like what have they bought, what's their strategy, for the next, couple months, the coming year. And so a whole set of GovSales websites to help you, again, focus your efforts on the right agencies. Good. So the next one, listen, number 3, these are going to be the tech solutions. So this is one of the biggest things. Like when folks jump into the GovSales world, they're like, I don't know where to focus. I don't know where to find opportunities. Who should I talk to? Where should I go? You can buy a series of solutions that can be really helpful. So now we've grouped them in 4 categories for you. One are the traditional bid notification systems. This is an aggregation of the bid and RFPs. This is what folks have been used to for many, many decades, right, Steve? They're like, this is the number one thing. Like, I got to get a bid notification system. I got to get a bid notification. And we've said 80% of government spending doesn't go through that, but that's what people talk about all the time, right?
Yeah, it's still one of those necessary evils, Jack, because sometimes there's no way to avoid the bid RFP, especially for larger size deals. They have to follow that process to be in compliance. But just like the vendors trying to respond to it, the agencies feel the same way. They don't want to spend, time writing up that RFP, so they try to avoid it at all costs.
Totally. And then the purchase order data solutions, that's relatively new. Some of you might be familiar with FPDS, and now there's a bunch of solutions, or a couple of solutions actually aggregated for state and local as well. There's a whole bunch of analytics, and then some contacts, the government contacts. And so, so I want to show you this. So here are the technology solutions. So there's a whole list of technology solutions grouped in those 4 categories, so that you can actually go through and pick a couple that'll help you sell to the government. And so really, really beneficial. You don't have to kind of hunt and peck and figure out where should I spend my time. The purchase order data solutions, you can actually, it'll show you what the government's purchased for the last couple of years. They're like, does that agency buy what I sell? You can find out specifically. You don't have to guess anymore. In the private industry, you're like, you think they like my stuff? Would they buy my stuff? You'll know. You'll be like, has that agency ever bought what I sell? Or would this be a brand new sale for them? Are they working with my competitor, or can I go in clean? So a lot of useful things in the technology solutions available to you. And they run from price range. Listen, from like a couple $100 to, say 10 to 20,000 bucks. So there's a wide range, but these technology solutions can really, really help you be more efficient in targeting your government sales in 2021. Amen. Number 4. So folks are really used to this. This is kind of the organizations. What are the organizations and associations that I can join, be a part of? And so as you see in that second bullet, these are all the things where you're trying to network with government folks. Like, hey, they'll have events and meetings and trade shows. Some will let you join as members. They'll do trainings. They'll have network opportunities, right? So again, I want to show it to you. So here's the list we believe are the top government organizations, associations. And so we give you the group, their website, a description of the organization. You can figure out the ones that best fit you. And by the way, if we're missing any, if there's one that you interact with or know or found really valuable to you, please let us know and we'll add it, right? So if you know an organization or something that's worked great for you, we want to add it obviously to the list. So please ping us and we'll add it. But we've really scoured the entire market and found those are the organizations that will really help you connect and get with the government agencies and the government personnel. Because selling to the government, listen, quick side note, it's just like private industry. It's all about the relationship. Folks want to buy from folks they like and trust. And so the more you're able to build that relationship, the better off you'll be when you try to sell. Because again, all sales is about the relationship, whether it's in the government or private industry. Amen.
Yep. And Jack, I just want to jump in because I see some comments firing up in the chat here and everyone's wondering, where are these lists? I thought that I would get them. So for people that registered, we already sent out the trade show list. So if you registered from, midnight last night till 12 o'clock today, you'll get that after the webinar. But after this webinar, we're going to upload the recording to a web page, and then we're going to send out an email to all attendees. So I know Jack's putting these up on the screen. You're like, where's my list? Don't worry about it. We're going to have it on a web page with all 6 resources that you'll have access to, plus a webinar recording. So don't worry, everybody. We got you covered.
Yes, we're going to send it out in a couple of things. We're actually going to, I'll take questions at the end too. So I want to be really sensitive. We're going to wrap the webinar up in about, in 30 minutes total. So about another 10 minutes or so. And then I'll stick around forever to take questions. So if you have questions at the end about the list, the process, how you use them, we'll stay on. I just don't want to keep the whole group captive. And so as soon as we're done the webinar, you're actually going to get an email that'll have the list. Both of you, I think as Stephen mentioned, you already have the next one actually. So let's go to the next one. We actually have these trade shows. So if you've registered for this webinar, you already have this trade show list. You should have got that in an email. And if you didn't for some reason, let us know. We'll get you the trade show list. And then you'll get an email as soon as we're done of all the other resources we have. And then again, I'll stick around after. Stephen and I'll stay around and answer any questions you may have. Cool. So the trade show, listen, this is our most comprehensive list. I mean, we scoured the world, certainly the US, right, to get all the trade shows. So again, I think most of you hopefully already have this list, but this is amazing. These are all the shows, industry and government shows. This is, there are literally hundreds of shows for your industry, your vertical. We tried to classify them by industry. You have the website, you have the dates of the shows. We also have a government tab. So these are all the major government shows. Now, a lot of these, right, are going to go virtual based upon COVID or TBD. Yeah. So TBD. And so what's nice, you may be able actually to attend more of the shows because they'll be virtual versus when they're in person, right? You got to like get on a plane and get hotels and get a booth and blah, blah, blah. Now that they're virtual, they obviously, hopefully they'll be more cost effective and maybe you could attend more of the shows. But this list is amazing. And again, if you have a show that you found to be really, really helpful for your company, please let us know. We'd love to add it. And so we want to share that with folks that are trying to sell to the government. And so that list you should already have. And if not, again, we will get you the trade show list. Cool. All right. And then the last one that's part of this webinar, right? We want to give you a list of all these kind of sales support vendors. And so what I mean by that, there are a lot of companies out there that will help you win business with the government. There's a lot of kind of solo entrepreneurs, right, that are out there that'll help you based on their experience. There's a lot of companies that'll help you. They'll help you identify opportunities, do proposals, contracting, get on the GSA schedule, get on state schedule. So there's a whole list we provided of vendors that we want to give to you. And so any of these folks you're able to reach out to, we've tried to group them. And so if there's other vendors that you found that have done great work for you, please let us know. We'd love to add it. If you're a vendor on this call and we don't have you in this list for whatever reason, no offense. So maybe we just had a brain fart for that day. And so we'd love to add you to the list. And if we've classified you wrong, please let us know. But this will be really a live, all of these lists are going to be live. We're going to keep modifying and updating them as we get feedback. But this will be a group of folks, again, if you're trying to get on GSA schedule, if you need help with contracts, if you need some strategy stuff, like there is a ton of folks out there that will help you. You do not have to go it alone. The folks that are in the government sales world, they'll typically have decades of experience and they can help you with any part of it. But also, with that said, it can be treacherous because sometimes folks are like, just pay me the money and I will help you. So we want to encourage you to just like when you do any other thing, talk to folks, get to know them, make sure they add real value and make sure that you're comfortable working with them. But those set of folks should really, really, really help you win government business. All right. And so again, those are the 6 resources. So again, a set of infographics you're going to get, the websites, all the government sales websites, the technology solutions, the organizations and associations, the trade shows you should already have, and then sales support vendors, folks that will actually literally help you win government business. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So my last slide. So all of the team was like, hey, you got to do a summary wrap-up slide. No, we don't. Listen, the 6 resources, you're going to get access to them. But I would say this is the quote that sits with me, right? With COVID and all the changes and everything Steve had just said, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results is insanity. And selling to the government, again, the largest prospect in the world, is going to change your company. It's going to change your future. We're giving you the GSU with bids basically at our cost because we want you to buy GovSpend down the road. You see that thing behind Steven and behind me? I don't care about the next year. We want you to go sell to the government. We're going to come back to you once you have $2-3 million in government business. Then we're going to be like, hey, you should get GovSpend. It's awesome. It's the best product in the world. You should go buy that. But we're just trying to get you in the pool. Jump in the pool, get in the front door, right? Go sell to the government. Then we'll talk to you a year or 2 down the road. If you're wondering why everything's so cheap, why we're doing these webinars, why we have the GovCast every Wednesday at noon, right? It's just to get you in the door. We want to help you save your business over the next year. Going to be critical for everything you do. Amen. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results is insanity, especially with COVID. Go sell to the government. Amen. Listen, that's all we have. Steve and I are going to stick around and take questions. You could go register at GovSalesUniversity.com. You saw all of our Steven's information. You can ping us. If you have questions, we will take questions from now to whenever. If you got to run, you'll get an email with the 6 resources sent to you. You'll have them. If you have any additions to those things that would help other folks, let us know. We'll add it to the list. It'll be organic. Those things will always be live and growing, so you have access to them all the time. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for your time and energy. Listen, go vote. Be safe from COVID. Have a great Q4. God bless. Happy Halloween. Happy Thanksgiving. And be safe. Amen. God bless. And we will take questions if you want to stick around. So, Steve, I'll let you play Chuck Woolery. Yes.
Hey, Jack, it's Kelly. We actually have a couple questions in the Q&A. I can read them for you if you'd like.
That would be great. So behind the scenes, that is Kelly, the producer of the show. So yes. For those of you stuck around, please feel free to ask any and all questions. Yes.
Sure. So I have one from Ann Hicks. She is a WOSB. We used to do the background screening for Transportation Security Administration. The government loved us. This was our first contract. We were awarded this contract because the company who had it was with TSA, was first started to needed to have a WOSB or small business. I would love to hear your advice about the next steps.
So it sounds like they had the contract and then lost it. Is that
the
is
federal
that
government pulled it back in-house after a security violation? We have been out of this market for a few years, and I'm ready to get back in.
Yeah, that's great. So listen, on the government side, the thing is they spend a lot of money, but it can change over time, right? Based upon security and COVID. And there is no one right answer. I obviously don't know the intimate details of that situation. If you want to ping us, reach out to Steven, that email you see on the screen, and we could talk about it one-on-one. We can actually go look at the historical contracts in our system and kind of give you an update on if they've awarded it, if it really is in-house and what's happening. But I would say a couple of things. As you already know, the government is really way, way ahead of the curve in trying to help socioeconomically disadvantaged businesses, whether that's woman-owned or veteran-owned or minority-owned. And so there's a ton of opportunities out there. And then secondly, we hopefully at GovSpend can actually show you some of the opportunities that are out there, both that are maybe set aside and some of the other things for the skill sets that your company has. So it's one of the best things if you were looking at the technology solution, what the purchase order database solutions are able to do. They can show you if agencies have ever bought what you sell, and if they have, who they're using now, or if they stopped doing it. So you can have some insights of where the most important thing in all of sales is we have limited time. Where should we spend our time and energy, right? And so you can't go after 90,000 agencies. It's not doable. But hopefully looking at the historical purchases, we can say, don't go after 90,000 agencies. Go after these 742. Go after these 112. Go after these 38, right? So that's what the purchase order things will do for you. So in that specific question, again, if you want to reach out to us, we can show you some of the data. But in general, there's still a ton of opportunity out there for your firm. And certainly as, again, a socioeconomically disadvantaged business, a lot of opportunities.
Hey, thank you, Israel. I saw a most fun podcast ever. So
we have a next question from Roger Janke. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong. Would you say something about the government and Tai Chi?
Yes, I'll
Steven,
take that.
I doesn't say that's in your wheelhouse. You go.
So I was actually talking to a guy in California who offers like a wellness program. And that was one of the searches that I ran through. And they do have programs for that. One is for like the employees of the government. And there's also things for the citizens. So yes, Tai Chi would fall into one of those spiritual, better self, better person. And government agencies do spend money on that. If you want to, give me a call or email me, sbrian@govspend.com, or my phone number, we can look up in your area how many agencies are, investing in Tai Chi. But it's definitely something I've come across in my time.
100%. Listen, I want to reiterate it. The first slide we talked about, second slide, the government buys everything. I don't care how niche-y, nuanced. We've had people call us trying to be like, does it really buy this? And like, I'm talking about the most extreme weirdo, like absorption ink for inverted printer stenogulators. You're like, yep, government buys that, right? So I don't care what it is. And again, if you've never done business with the government, you win one government contract for Tai Chi, you go train a whole military base, or you go train a whole organization, that'll change your company. Seriously.
All right, we have another one from, I'm definitely not going to be great at this one, but back
okay. Just read.
ISEV. Yeah. It says, do you know government spending on education and education technology?
Sure. There's a ton of spending on education. Listen, it's really federal, and then they talk about it SLED, right? State, local, and education. So a ton of both in education and in ed tech. It's like its own little niche. And now, listen, now with COVID, ed tech is exploding. So just think about, I'm sure you already know this, right? People used to like go into classrooms, and now it's very mixed across the country. Folks need a completely different architecture, infrastructure to make this virtual learning thing happen. Very, very few folks are in school 24/7 or 5 days a week like they used to be. A lot of opportunities. That area is exploding, both infrastructure wise and network security wise. Amazing, ton of opportunity. Please, if you don't reach out to us, find a way, because that market is exploding. Any other questions, Kelly?
Yes,
Steve?
looks like we have one more. How is the best way to find out who handles the purchase orders in a sales department?
Yeah, there's a couple ways actually. So I mentioned in the vendor list that you'll get, there's a couple of vendors that have contacts, they're government contacts. So you can reach out to the government agency. Most government websites are going to have the purchasing department delineated. And there's really two parts of the government purchasing process, okay? There's normally the end user, the person that creates the requirement. They can be harder to find sometimes. If you're looking for those folks, contact us. We're going to give you, we have a new contact solution coming out. We're going to give you the old org structure of an organization that's really unique. How do I find the end user? Okay. And then once the end user, let's just say the police chief needs 100 guns. Okay. Then it goes over to the purchasing department. Then the head of purchasing or someone in purchasing actually coordinates the purchase. They actually make it happen. Okay. And so there's actually two folks you're really going to wind up coordinating with or want to ping: the end user. You always want to get in front of them, have them predisposed to your solution, obviously, if you can. And then secondly, working with the purchasing group to figure out, hey, how can that organizational and requirement person actually get your stuff? What's the process, as we mentioned, through bid and RFP, or can they go through GSA or sole source, or does it fit on discretionary spend or P card, or all the different ways an agency can buy? And so there's really two entities within the organization you want to target. And then again, if you want to reach out to us, ping us, we'll actually help you kind of zero in on both of those.
Yeah, I just want to add to that, Jack, because one question we always love to ask agencies is, are you centralized or decentralized?
Yep.
So if they are centralized, the procurement department is really like the head top, and they make all the decisions. The departments influence it, but the purchasing department itself, controls the budget. So everybody just wants to go to the end user. If I saw IT solutions, I'm finding an IT director, but bringing procurement involved and having everybody together helps make that sales cycle a lot quicker, because you don't have to wait another month to get that extra meeting. Bring them on as soon as you talk to the end user. Say, hey, can we bring the procurement department or any of the purchasing folks onto that call as well, so they can make a decision together, because those conversations happen behind the scenes. So why not be a part of that conversation and be a part of it live?
Great. I think we have two more questions.
Two more questions. So when it comes to government marketing on outreach programs, where do you see the most growth?
Well, I think it really depends on, this is to me. So again, in our set of sales support vendors, there's a lot of folks that focus on marketing. So I encourage you to reach out to those folks like Mark Amtower, and some other folks will help you do marketing. And really there's probably three answers to this. One is the social media world, right? So growing, the government typically lags, but there are a ton of folks on LinkedIn, all the traditional social media stuff, digital marketing, growing your brand, trying to ping folks, but a lot of government folks are on LinkedIn. There is kind of traditional marketing, the old school, kind of like all the things everyone thinks is dead, but really isn't, whether that's direct mailers, traditional advertising in magazines, doing the trade shows, all of that type of stuff. And then there's probably a third group that's a hybrid, things like this, like doing webinars and some other ways. But there are a ton of ways. The kind of the direct digital approach is building relationships in LinkedIn. And then a lot of the other marketing, I think, still works. Like somebody asked about ed tech. And I'll just tell you, like during the summer, one of the biggest things that was working for companies was traditional marketing, because you couldn't go see the schools, but you could certainly mail to them. Right. And so when someone comes back into their school, if you have a letter, a mailer, some information, something unique, if you sent them a little box of something, they'll actually get that stuff. Really is a unique way to get a hold of the educational institutions while they were away from the building. And so both continue to work. And again, I would encourage you to go to the list of sales support vendors. There are a set of folks that really just solely focus on helping companies market to the government.
All right, awesome. Last question. In your experience, how can one know if the agencies we are applying for have a preference for minority-owned businesses? Do they usually mention that in the contracts?
I would say, so just take a step back. Every agency is different, right? So we try to talk about, here's some general things, but every agency is really, really different. Dealing with an agency in California can be very different from Texas, can be very different from Maryland, right? So all the agencies can operate really differently, but most simply have a person or staff that really work on this socioeconomically disadvantaged initiatives. And so typically they're very upfront about those initiatives, what their goals are, what things are being set aside. And as we had a guest on the GovCast a week or two ago, some of the times an agency will put out a regular bid or RFP or a quote. Then when a vendor comes in and says, hey, this might be set aside, there's a couple of us that are in a small business category or one of the other set aside categories, we could both actually compete for this. Sometimes an agency will then bring it back and then put it back out with a set aside attached to it. So there is a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of folks that really focus in this area. And again, the government is way ahead of private industry regarding being super proactive. So would encourage you, again, you can reach out to us or some of the other sales strategy folks, but most agencies are going to have a person or persons that are working on this full time to make sure they reach the goals. Like some agencies will say, hey, we're going to award 10 or 15 or 20% in these different categories. The federal government has specific marks for all the different set-asides. And so typically they're very upfront. And typically what's nice is there's a person or set of folks you can actually talk to directly to help you win that business. All right. Amen. Any other questions? We good? Listen, want to encourage you to reach out to us. Again, you see our contact information. Couldn't not recommend GovSales University more. It's a great, great place to start. No contract. You're in a couple $100. If you hate it, you can just cancel. So encourage you to reach out. If you're ever going to do it, now's the time. You're going to save 50% on the price of that per month. Be safe. Go vote. Appreciate everybody attending today. If you need us, reach out anytime. We just want to help you grow and be great at what you do. Stevie B, can you take us out?
Let's do it, baby.